Chapter 1. The Arrival. The clang of steel doors reverberated through the stark, gray corridor as I stepped into the vast expanse of confinement. My heart raced, each beat echoing the dread pooling in my stomach. I'm Marcus, a first-time offender, swallowed by the overwhelming chaos of this place. The harsh fluorescent lights illuminated the cold walls and the scowls of seasoned inmates. I felt small, insignificant against the tide of aggression and uncertainty. Yet, in this alien world, something unexpected emerged: camaraderie. I met others like me, new arrivals, lost and vulnerable. We shared nervous laughs and tentative tales of our pasts, forging fragile connections that began to soften the rigid atmosphere around us. In our shared misfortune, we found a sliver of hope and understanding, forming bonds that transcended our grim surroundings. As I closed my eyes that night, the darkness didn't feel quite so suffocating. Perhaps, together, we would find our way through this. Chapter 2. As the monotonous clang of the metal gates fades into the background, Elena finds herself immersed in the rigid routines of prison life. Each day begins with the shrill sound of the alarm, breaking the stillness of the morning. In her diary, Elena recounts the stark hierarchy that prevails among inmates, some wielding power through intimidation, while others form friendships over shared meals and whispered secrets. Amid the harshness, she discovers humor. A spontaneous game of cards in the yard and a stolen library book become small acts of defiance against the drudgery. Elena's resilient spirit shines as she transforms the bleak prison yard into a vibrant canvas, organizing art and writing workshops that become sanctuaries of creativity. In these fleeting moments of laughter and expression, she ignites a flicker of hope, proving that even within these concrete walls, the human spirit can flourish against all odds. Chapter 3. The Weight of the Past. Jamal leans against the cold concrete wall of his cell, the weight of his past pressing heavily on his chest. Memories flood in like an unrelenting tide, the childhood filled with neglect, the fleeting moments of love overshadowed by addiction and loss. He recalls the night of the fateful decision that changed everything, a moment stained with regret. As he speaks into the recorder, his voice trembles with emotion, each word a confession, a plea for understanding. Here, surrounded by iron bars, Jamal finds purpose in mentorship. He shares his stories with younger inmates, hoping to steer them away from the paths he once walked. I tell them, he says, that our pasts don't define us, they can guide us if we let them. Through his reflections, Jamal reveals the complexities of redemption, embracing his role as a beacon of hope, illuminating a way forward amid the darkness. Chapter 4. The Sisterhood of Struggles. As I walk the worn paths of this women's prison, I find that our collective struggles create a unique bond. Here in this stark environment, each woman carries her own weight, yet together we forge a fierce sisterhood. I lead group therapy sessions where pain transforms into power. We share our traumas, laughter, and hopes for the future. Each face reflects a story, some of violence, others of betrayal, but through these sessions, we heal. We've built a sanctuary within these walls, organizing arts and crafts, sharing secrets in whispered tones, and lifting one another when the outside world feels overwhelmingly distant. As we engage in our discussions, I see the strength of vulnerability. We learn to embrace our imperfect selves. This shared journey fosters resilience, reminding us that even in despair, bonds of sisterhood can thrive, offering comfort and clarity in a place meant to divide us. Chapter 5. Transitions and Transformations. As I sit in my cell, reflecting on the life I left behind, I realize that transformation isn't just about changing who I am. It's about dismantling the identity I forged in the streets. I was once ensnared by the allure of gang life, succumbing to a cycle of violence and despair. But here, in this concrete cocoon, I discovered the power of education, a lifeline I never knew I needed. Each day, I immerse myself in books, soaking up knowledge like a sponge. I'm fortunate to connect with volunteers who believe in second chances, sharing stories that ignite my dreams of freedom. I may wear these gray prison clothes, but my mind is vibrant, bursting with ideas of a future unbound by the past. Every lesson is a step toward breaking free, not just from these walls, but from the chains of my former self. Hope whispers that I can rise again. Chapter 6. The Freedom Within. As the heavy steel doors close behind them, Marcus, Elena, Jamal, Renee, and Leo come together in a small room to discuss what freedom means to each of them. Their diverse backgrounds and experiences weave a rich tapestry of thoughts. Marcus finds freedom in friendship, recalling the bonds he's formed that transcend the prison walls. Elena describes emotional liberation found in creative expression, revealing how art has allowed her to reclaim her voice. For Jamal, freedom is tied to forgiveness, embracing his past mistakes while helping others to avoid repeating them. Renee, focused on inner growth, speaks of the liberation that comes from emotional healing, while Leo, on a path to personal transformation, dreams of the opportunities that await beyond his release. Their reflections culminate in a powerful realization. While physical confinement is palpable, the journey toward inner freedom is an unquenchable fire that burns brightly despite the gray confines of their surroundings. The Echoes of Silence. Narrated by Sarah, a quiet and introspective inmate with a profound love for poetry, this chapter explores her journey through isolation and the transformative power of words. As she sits in her cell, Sarah shares how the deafening silence of prison often feels like a heavy blanket suffocating her spirit. Yet, within that silence, she discovers the cathartic release of writing. Through her poetry, she gives voice to her pain, hopes, and dreams, weaving intricate verses that capture the rawness of her emotions. She recounts the first time she shared her work during a makeshift poetry night, where fellow inmates gathered hanging on to her every word. In this moment of vulnerability and connection, Sarah finds solidarity among voices once shrouded in silence. As her verses echo off the concrete walls, she realizes that even in the bleakness of prison, creativity and expression can illuminate the path toward healing and self-discovery. Chapter 8. The Stories of Our Lives. As I sit in my cell, surrounded by concrete and metal, I've come to cherish the power of storytelling. In this place, where silence often suffocates us, we find solace in sharing our lives with one another. Every week, I host a circle where inmates gather to recount their tales, their joys, sorrows, triumphs, and failures. Through these stories, we build bridges of understanding and empathy. Last week, Renee spoke about her childhood dreams of becoming a dancer before her life spiraled into chaos. Jamal opened up about the choices that led him down a dark path, revealing the longing for redemption that drives him. In sharing our experiences, we strip away the labels of criminal and victim, embracing our shared humanity. These narratives remind us that we are more than our pasts. We are survivors, each with the potential for change. In these moments, we reclaim our voices and our strength. Chapter 9, Family Ties. In this chapter, Aisha shares her heart-wrenching journey as an inmate grappling with the consequences of her incarceration on her family. Through her poignant narrative, she reflects on the day she was taken away, seeing the fear in her children's eyes and the ache of separation that would follow. Aisha describes the haunting silence of her cell, which often echoes with thoughts of the birthdays and milestones she's missing. Yet, amidst the pain, she highlights the efforts she makes to stay connected. The letters filled with love, the phone calls brimming with hope, and the precious moments of video visitation that keep her spirit alive. Aisha emphasizes the importance of rebuilding her fractured family bonds as they become her motivation for rehabilitation. Through her vulnerabilities and determination, she cultivates a deep longing for reconnection, illustrating how the ties of family can endure even the hardest walls of confinement. Chapter 10. In Search of Redemption. Narrated by Carlos, a former gang leader turned counselor, this chapter delves into the tumultuous journey of seeking redemption. Carlos reflects on his life before incarceration, a life defined by loyalty to the gang, fueled by the allure of power and respect. He recounts the moment he realized that those choices led him down a destructive path, resulting in the loss of loved ones and his own freedom. In prison, he confronts the weight of his past, wrestling with guilt and the desire to change. Carlos becomes a role model for younger inmates, using his story as a powerful cautionary tale. He facilitates group discussions, encouraging others to take responsibility for their actions and strive for a better future. Through his journey, he learns that redemption is not just about making amends, but also about fostering hope and inspiring change within himself and those around him. Chapter 11. The Power of Forgiveness. In this poignant chapter, Hannah, a victim of crime turned advocate, shares her deeply personal journey of forgiveness. She recounts the day her life was shattered by an act of violence that left her feeling lost and consumed by anger. As Hannah reflects on the pain of betrayal and loss, she also reveals the transformative power of confronting her emotions head-on. Through therapy and support groups, she learns to differentiate between her suffering and the individual behind her trauma. Hannah shares how, against all odds, she reached out to her offender, driven by a desire for closure rather than vengeance. Their conversation became a pivotal moment for both, fostering healing and understanding. Through her narrative, Hannah emphasizes that forgiveness does not excuse the crime, but rather liberates her from the burden of anger, ultimately paving the way for her own peace and renewed sense of purpose. Chapter 12. Building Bridges. As I sit in the common area, the sounds of laughter and conversations fill the air, a stark contrast to the silence that once surrounded me. I've spent years observing the nuances of our prison community, understanding the complex dynamics of rehabilitation versus punishment. My studies in sociology have opened my eyes to the systemic issues at play. I often think about how the prison system can either break us or create opportunities for change. Building relationships with fellow inmates, sharing our stories and perspectives, has been transformative. We may wear the same gray jumpsuits, but each of us carries a unique narrative, a testament to our resilience. I advocate for the power of education, not just for survival, but as a bridge to the outside world. We must become the architects of our futures, proving that we are more than our mistakes. Hope is the foundation. Together, we can build a new reality. Chapter 13. Preparing for Release. As the reality of impending release looms, Marcus reflects on the mixed emotions swirling within him. Excitement and anxiety intertwine as he ponders the world outside, a place that both beckons and terrifies him. He recalls the heartfelt conversations shared with fellow inmates, vivid discussions about dreams, fears, and the daunting challenges of reintegration. What if I slip back into old habits, he wonders aloud. In the yard, he finds solace in daily motivational meetings, where they prepare for life beyond these walls. He is learning practical skills and receiving guidance on job searches and housing. With every session, he feels a flicker of hope igniting within him. Surrounded by the supportive voices of his peers, he understands he's not alone. We're all in this together, he tells them, echoing a sentiment that unites their spirits. As his release date approaches, Marcus clings to this newfound sense of community, ready to face the unknown.